Hey everybody, welcome back to Flex Volleyball. In this video, we are going to go over the 5-1 rotation for volleyball. So in this rotation, we are going to have one setter setting all the way around. Okay, so the 5 is referring to these 5 players that when they make it into the front row, they would then become an attacker. So we have 5 attackers that end up playing in the front row. Then the 1 stands for our 1 setter. Okay, now if we are running the 5-1, the first rotations 1, 2, and 3 will be run exactly like a 6-2. So if you're familiar with the 6-2, we'd run that the same way. So let's go ahead and go over that. So we're going to serve first. So our setter, who is in the number 1 position in our lineup, they'll come off court, and then they are going to be serving. These 2 players are in the position that they already want to be in, and then these 2 players are going to want to stack up on the middle as long as they don't cross over. And then once that ball is contacted for the serve, that player comes on, and then these 2 players will switch over as the ball is being played on the opposing team's side. Okay, then when the ball comes over, we play defense. If the setter does not dig the ball first, then they are going to come up into the front row to set. And now we have 3 front row attack options. Okay, now let's go ahead and do receive. So in rotation 1, when we are receiving a serve, we want to hide the setter. We do not want them to pass the ball. We want them to take the second contact for the set and set up one of our 3 front row attackers. So there's 2 things we can do here. We can either drop them back a little bit and push them to the side and then bring this outside player or that front right player back. And now we have our 3 primary passers. The ball is served, and then these 2 players would be off right there in order to hit. Then the ball is served. The setter is going to attempt to run forward during that serve. These 3 pass to the setter, and then this player comes out over here, hits right side first. We hit the ball, it goes over. Then we're going to go into home position, and then these 2 players would switch to their home position outside on the left, middle in the middle, and right side or opposite on the right side of the court. Now, a second option that we can do on rotation 1 is when we're hiding this setter is we just have them come forward a little bit and stack up front on our outside hitter here. And then we have these players rotate over. As long as this middle doesn't cross over onto this side of that setter, we're still in rotation. Then we'll drop this right side player back. And as long as they do not go behind this outside player who is directly behind them in the rotation, then we're fine. And now we have 3 primary passers, and the setter is close to being in their setting position. The ball is served. This outside player would come around, hit right side, middle would hit middle, and then right side would come over here to hit that outside first. We hit the ball, it goes over, then we will go into our home positions like that. All right, now we are in rotation 2. So rotation 2 is when the setter is in middle back. So we are serving the ball. So this outside hitter will come off, being the server. So when they are off court, we don't need to worry about them crossing over because they are not inbounds of the court. So we can just shift over here and get these 2 players into their home positions. And then what we want to do is we want to always, whenever we are serving the ball, we want to have that middle, push to the middle and start up on the net so that they're ready to block anything that's, coming over and on an overpass, or if that setter is a front row setter and they're going to try to dump, they're there to try to stop that. And then our outside would also be on the net ready to help assist with those blocks. Okay, and so then our right side is the only one that is not on their home position. So they're going to stack up on the middle, slightly to the side and behind them. And then once that ball is contacted, the server moves on into their home position outside, and then this right side player will move over, and that's all done while the opposing team is playing their 3 touches from that serve. All right, now we are going to receive a serve in rotation 2. So we have our setter in middle back. We do not want them to pass the ball. So there's two options that we can do here. One is typically better than the other if you have decent passers. Okay, so we are going to bring this setter up here, hide them. They're going to stack on top of that right side player who's also in the middle. And then we want them on the right side right here so that they are as close to their setting position as they possibly can without crossing in front of their right side player who's directly in front and this outside player who is directly to the right of them. So then what we'll do is we'll shift over. Middle can't cross over the setter, so we're still good. They're in between these two players. And then we'll drop this outside player back right here. Okay, now we'd play the ball. These are your three primary passers. Okay, ball is served. This right side player would come off, hit middle. Middle would hit out on the right side, and then outside comes over here. And we have our three attack options. We hit it, and then we are going to then go into our home positions. Okay, now let's say we're setting that up, and this outside player, maybe they aren't a very good passer, or maybe they're just not doing very good that day. So instead of having that setter come over to the right side, what we can do is drop them back over, shift this way, and if we place them on slightly on the left, then we can have the middle shift over more, and then this other middle player, maybe they're a better passer, they could come back and be the third primary passer, pass the ball, setter comes over here, sets the ball, middle attacks here, right side in the middle, and then outside is already in their outside position. Okay, so that would be option 2 on receiving in rotation 2. Now we're on rotation 3. So the setter is in left back in this rotation, and we are going to serve the ball. So this middle player is going to come off. They're going to be the server. And then these two players are not where we want them to be. So we're going to have them come to the middle. And then we're going to have them stack on each other. And then as soon as the ball is served, they're going to run to their home positions. Okay, we also have up front players that are not in the positions we want. Only one in home position is this right side player. So we're going to have that middle move to the front, just like we did in the other rotations when we're serving. And then that outside player is going to stack up on them. That ball is served. Player will go to their home position. These two players will switch, and these two players switch here. Now we have rotation 3, and we are receiving a serve. Okay, so same thing. We want to hide that setter. We do not want them to pass. So they are going to drop forward and stack up on that middle player. And then there's a couple things that we can do here as well. We can have this player scoot over, and then just rotate and then get this right side player into position. Okay, and then this outside player would be right here, and they would be hitting middle first, hitting right side, and middle would hit outside first. We can also do this, where we have that outside front row player drop back and be a primary passer, and then same thing, they would just hit right here. And then we can also do one where we have this player come right here, and then there'd be the third primary passer on this side. Now this side would be beneficial because then this outside player could just transition and hit as they're outside right away. And then as that ball is served, okay, these two players would then run like this. Setter goes to their setting position. We pass the ball, and now our outside is on the outside, middle's in middle, and right side is on their right side. So they would already be in their home positions. And then these two players would then switch after the ball goes over. And now we're in home position. Okay, now if we don't want to do that, there's also another option here. Okay, and that is, you will see some people, they're going to stack up these players as much as they can. So I'm going to put it like that. Okay, so there's our setter right there. We'll shift over. And as long as that outside doesn't cross over with that setter, we're good. And as long as this outside doesn't cross over that middle, to the left side, we're good. And so what will happen here is when the ball is served, setter will run over here, and then our middle is going to come over here. So then we are again already in our home positions, hitting from the positions we want to hit: outside on outside, middle and middle, right side on right side. And then we just do our shift over, transition there, and then we're in home position. So we have a few different options running on rotation 3 with the setter in the back row. Now we're in rotation 4, and we are serving the ball. So now we have our setter in the front row. So we have 2 primary attackers and then the setter. Now the setter is still technically an attack option because they're front row, so you can do an attack on the second touch instead of the third touch. So technically they are still an attacker. Okay, so right side player who's opposite of that setter, they're going to drop off. Okay, and then we are going to do a switch right here. Okay, so we're going to stack up on that middle, and like before, middle is always trying to be posted up on the net when we are serving. Okay, so we're going to serve the ball, contact, server runs onto the court. These 2 players then move to their home positions, and then the setter is now setting from the front row and 2 primary front row attacks right there. Okay. Receiving the ball in rotation 4, it's going to be pretty simple. These 2 players are just going to drop back, and then your setter is just going to get as close as they can to their setting position without crossing over that middle. So you can even have that middle stack up a little bit further this way to get them even closer. And then just when the ball is served, they'll just come around this way a little bit if you want to as the setter moves over. Okay. Now another thing that you can do on this one is you can stack these players. So if you're really wanting to get that outside player to the outside right away, then you can do a stack right here, and it can be in any order you want really, but typically you want that setter closer to the net. So you stack them up 3 on each other, and then that ball is served, then you're going to run across just like that. That way you get your middle and your outside in their home positions. So that would be if you have a really good outside hitter and maybe they don't hit very well on as a middle, and you want to get them in that position as soon as possible. Now we can also do this triple stack in the middle, where we're just all right here, and then the ball is served, and we just move like this. And we can also do this stack on this side right here as well. So that would get our setter closer to their primary spot. Then the outside would be the one running the furthest, and then the middle running to the middle. So you do have different options. Just make sure that you're keeping everybody in their rotation order. So that middle stack would look like this. That left side stack would look like this. And then the right side stack would look like this. So you do have a lot of options on rotation 4. Okay, now we are in rotation 5. So our outside, number 2, is coming off to serve. Okay, and then since they are off, these players can just move into their positions right away. Okay, and then what we'll do is the middle will come to their middle spot, like always, when we are serving. And then the setter is going to stack up on the left side of them slightly behind. And then when that ball is served, this player will run on, and the setter will move over to their setting position and set from the front row. So that one's pretty easy. All right, now we're in rotation 5 again, and we are receiving a serve. Okay, so on this one, we're going to have our 3 primary passers, which is all 3 of our back row players. And then we're going to have middle and outside come off here. So this is option 1, and then our setter just moves in right here. So we would not have a middle player right here. Ball is served. We can either have the middle run as a right side attack shot option, or they can transition over during that serve and run the middle. And then outside will just be here to run their outside. Okay, you can also do something where you have that outside come over here and hit that middle attack, and then the middle runs the right side. So you can kind of change things up. This is the simplest way to do it, so there's no transition while the ball is being served. but you do have options in this rotation as well. So that we then attack, whatever attack option we end up doing. If we do that, we're already in home position, so there wouldn't be any transitions there. And then right here, we would be doing our transition to home position as well. All right, now we are in the last rotation, rotation 6. We are serving, so this middle player will come off and they will be the server. These two players are not where they want to be, so we're going to stack them up right here. And then once again, we are serving, so the middle is going to push people out of the way to get to that middle position. And then our outside is going to stack up on the right side and slightly behind our middle. Okay, so that ball is served. We'll do our transition in the back row, and then that outside will run over to their position there. And then we would run our attack options right here. And again, in front row, that setter is a second contact attack option as well. So they can dump, or if they're left-handed, then they can actually do a full approach and swing at the ball. Okay, so pretty easy on rotation 6. Okay, last one, rotation 6, and we are receiving the ball. This one right here, pretty easy. We're going to have our 3 primary passers, which are just the 3 back row players. And then we can have these 2 players pull off and then run their attack from the position that they are, the rotation that they are in. Or we can have them try to do a quick switch where they stack up and then the ball is served and then they do a transition here. Okay, if you're really wanting to get them into their positions right away. Typically, I don't want to do that just because I'd rather have the least amount of movement and transition as that ball is being served to us. Because if you have a good server, they'll serve it right at those people who are transitioning and moving to try to get in position instead of being ready to pass the ball. So just be aware of that. If you are going to try to do this switch during the serve, that server may be pretty good and they may serve it right at you as you're both transitioning. So they'll just try to split you. And since you're both in movement, they'll just serve right here and then it'll be hard to get. Okay, so preferably this is the easiest way with the least amount of risk. All right, so then we'd run our attack options, boom. Then we'd do our switch. And we would do our switches here. And then we'd be in home position. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And remember, be strong, be consistent, be safe, and above all else, stay out of the net.